Howdy Mustangs, good to see you guys again. It's Mr. Parr here. Now we're going to get into session 2 for the social studies for this week. And this is going to be all about the Texas railroads, how the trains and the railroads came through and what happened once they got to Texas. Okay, so now if you remember session 1, there's the barbed wire fence. The barbed wire fence basically started to end the open range and the trail drives as we know it. And if you remember, the trail drives, their purpose was to get the cattle to the railroads so that they could be sold to those markets where they were really expensive. So now, barbed wire's ending the trail drive. How are we going to get the cattle to the market? Well, that's all what's kind of going on right here at about the same time. And that's that now that the barbed wire is kind of closing the railroad, or closing the trail drive, railroads are actually starting to be built into Texas. The railroad, the owners of the railroads realized that it was an opportunity for them to make a ton of money now that these cattle can't be driven on those trails up to the northern railroads. They've got to build the railroads down to Texas. And so before the railroads, now this is now I'm going to talk about farmers. Now instead of ranchers, we talked about cowboys and how the open range and the longhorn cow and the barbed wire into that. But now let's talk now real quick about farmers. And farmers in Texas, they grew their crops. They grew cotton. They grew corn. They grew lots of different things that they could do, that they could sell. But the other problem with that is you grow it, but then you've got to get it to where it can be sold. Okay, that produce, that material and things like that. Before the railroads, if anybody, let's say you had a farm where you grew, let's say you grew cotton, because cotton was really big here in the Brazos Valley. And so you grew cotton. When you harvested your cotton at the end of the growth season, and now you wanted to sell it. Well, this is what you could do. You had two options. If you wanted to get your cotton to the market, option one, as you see right here, option one, you can see is you can take a wagon. And you can load up on a wagon and drive it to the markets. It was expensive. The people that carried these things on wagons, you had to pay them a lot. And it was very slow. The roads in Texas were basically just dirt paths. Imagine if it rained, you couldn't travel. The wagons would get stuck. And so it took a long time and it was very expensive to send your goods by wagon. Now, the other probably the most popular or most often used in the late 1800s in Texas was using steamboats on the rivers and barges. Well, you probably had to use a wagon to get it to the river. Now, here, if you lived here in the Brazos Valley, at least you were close to the Brazos River. You didn't have to go too far, but you would take it to a place on the river and you would load your cotton onto these steamboats. And these steamboats, they would chug down the river upstream or downstream where they needed to go to get your cotton to the market or whatever other good you had. And you couldn't do this all the time because if the rivers were low, the steamboats would get stuck. There were sandbars. The rivers would be low and they'd run aground. And so it could only work when the rivers were high enough, but not too high. Because if it was a bad storm and they're flooding, the water's going too fast and it was dangerous. And so it wasn't all the time you could use these steamboats. So while this is going on, the barbed wire's into the trail drive. Farmers that are growing crops are having to send their goods to markets either by wagon, it was very slow, or by steamboats that weren't working all the time. It was more efficient, it was quicker and cheaper, but it didn't work all the time. And so luckily for us, railroads were starting to now spread throughout Texas. Okay? These now that barely reached, one of the first railroads in Texas did reach almost to where we are here in Bryan College Station. It reached to Milliken. It went up from Galveston. Galveston was a big port. That was a place where you'd get your goods. You can send it out by boats or things like that. But there was a railroad that went up all the way to Milliken. And people around the Brazos Valley, they could take their goods now to the railroads, take their cattle to the railroads even. But that railroad that made it to Milliken was one of the earlier ones. But as the years go on, these railroads are spreading out all over Texas, not just in some areas outside of Galveston, not just in some other little areas around Houston. That's where the first ones were around Galveston and Houston. But they're now starting to spread out everywhere. Okay, and these railroad owners, they realize if they build a railroad close to where there's lots of ranchers, now the ranchers can bring their cows and load them onto the train, onto the trail drive. Doesn't have to go all the way to Kansas, all the way to Missouri, all the way to Wyoming. And so now they can load them up on the trains here in Texas. The railroads were here now. Now it's much easier to get your cattle to the railroads. It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't didn't take near as long. And so it's even cheaper. The farmers, the ranchers didn't have to pay the cowboys for that really long trail drive. And so with the barbed wire fences and now the railroads coming to Texas, pretty much the trail drive ends. It's no more. Okay. It's not going to go on anymore because they don't need to do it. That trail drive where they went hundreds of miles and took weeks to do that with all that danger, now they don't have to. The railroads would come to a certain area. And like, for example, that first railroad that made it to about to Milliken, every now and then, if you had the train that came to pick up cattle, all the ranchers knew that's when you bring your cows there. If you raised cotton, if you grew cotton, every now and then you would bring your cotton at the end of the harvest time to Milliken to where you could load your cotton onto the train. Eventually, the train spread out, didn't just stop at Milliken coming up from Galveston. It continued up north. It continued on north, up through Hearne, up through Waco, up into Dallas and Fort Worth, all those towns that now the railroads are reaching to, where everybody can get their goods and markets to markets much, much easier and much cheaper. Okay. And what's kind of cool about this is all these trains, they were steam engines. They had water. There's a big boiler. There was water in it. They burned coal or wood or things like that to boil that water. The water would change the steam and it would turn the engine to let the train go. But they would run out of water. They would boil all the water away after about 30 miles. And they had to refill their tanks. Just like with cars, we refill with gas. These trains had about a 30-mile distance they could go on the water they had. And so the railroads built these big water wells, basically a tower with a well where water would pump up into here. The trains would come by, that little arm would swing down and fill up the train. So the trains had to stop at about every 30 miles. So about every 30 miles, there's that water well. And there would be, like, some people realize, hey, if the train stops, why don't I have a little store here? A little general store where you could buy some food, maybe you have some machinery that maybe the train workers might need. Or maybe, and one other thing too with trains, with them spreading out everywhere, now people were riding the trains. There were passenger trains. And so when they would stop, people would get out. People would stretch their legs when they filled with water. This general store would pop up at the water stop. And then with the general store, maybe a market might come there for all the farmers and ranchers around where people could bring their goods to load it up on the train when it's filling up with water. And these water stops basically started to become some of the small towns in Texas. Around the little water stop, the tower, the general store, a hotel, a restaurant, and a market might all come around to see there. And what's really crazy about it, and if you watch, once you get on the slideshow and you click on this video, it'll tell you a little bit more about it. But as the cars came about, we started building highways. The highways were built alongside the railroad tracks. And that's why as you drive through Texas, most of our towns are about 30 miles apart because there was a water stop, the town would build up. There was a water stop, the town would build up. Along Highway 6 where we live today, if you go about 30 miles north, guess what? There's Hearne. If you go about 30 miles south, guess what? There's Navasota. 30 miles south of that, Hempstead. And as you go along, that's how it kind of went. About 30 miles north of Hearne, that's when you get to Crockett. And then you keep going on to Waco and then the bigger cities. All these little cities are about every 30 miles apart. And that's still what we see today. Okay. So if you look at a road map, you see that 30-mile separation in the cities that all came about from the railroads. If the railroad went through your town, that was great for you. There was even some small towns in Texas when they built the railroads. If the town wasn't near it, there were some towns that tore down their buildings and moved the town to the railroad, to a water stop, so that town could be successful. Okay, so these railroads were hugely, incredibly important. And when the railroads came, so if you look right here, this is a map that shows what the railroads were like in Texas in 1860, 1861. You can see the 1860, these little red lines, there's not very many of them right around here. And then 1881, you see the blue. There's more railroads kind of here in this cluster of East Texas. And then 1909, once you get to the 1900s, look at all the railroads here in Texas. And as we got more railroads, look at the population. The population in Texas starts to expand. Okay. The biggest city in Texas in 1870 was Galveston. It was at the port. It was at where the ships could come in and trade. And so at Galveston, that was the biggest city. But now as the railroads come, other cities could get more important because they could be on the railroad lines as well. Look at Dallas. Look at the population of Dallas as the railroads expand, how much Dallas grows. Okay, San Antonio, same thing. Galveston does grow because it still continues to be an important city in Texas, but these cities too. Fort Worth basically became a city around this time, and Fort Worth becomes a central hub for Texas cattle industry. Okay, the railroads change it. El Paso, way out here in Texas, went from barely any people to growing up to being a major city in Texas. Okay, so the growth of the railroads, more railroads ends up being more people in Texas. Okay. And so I hope this helps. Read that article as well, too, while you do the fill in the blanks as well. It'll definitely help. Listen to the conversations and discussions we had. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you guys later.